are 7 interpersonal skills that I'm going to be covering today in this short course. And let us start with self-awareness. Self-awareness is your ability to perceive and understand the things that make you who you are as an individual, including your personality, your actions, your values, your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts. Essentially, it is a psychological state in which the self becomes the focus of your attention. Now, what are the sources of self-awareness? There are 2. It's the inside source, the internal source, your self-analysis, your self-reflection, and the outside source. That is basically the people that provide you with information about yourself. Let us talk about where the 2 sources, the inside source and the outside source, intersect. And that's the tool that's called Johari window. According to Johari window, we have 4 windows that contain different types of information. The first window is called the open area. And here is where we place all the information that is known to us and is known to others. This is information on the surface. This is information that is known to the public, and also you agree with that information. It is a fully open window. The second window, according to the Johari's windows, is semi-open and semi-closed, and it's called the blind spot. In the blind spot window, we have information that is unknown to us, but is known to others. So basically, it is a pretty shameful window if you think about it, because you do not want to have information publicly available to others, but not known to you. That's why we call it a blind spot, and the way to minimize the blind spot or to squeeze the blind spot and put that information into the public zone, into the open window, is to accept feedback, to be able how to accept feedback and to ask for feedback. The third window, a semi-open window, is called the mask. And under your mask, we place all the information that is unknown to others but is known to us. It is our secrets. It is information that we keep to ourselves. Well, how does that information gets exposed or gets known to others? Self-exposure is one way, so we voluntarily provide that information to others. Or it can be an exposure that is not voluntary for you. So somebody discloses information about you, finds out something that you would rather keep behind your mask. And finally, the fourth window, the fully closed window, is called the question mark area, where we have all the information that is not known to us and is not known to others. So basically, it is an unknown area, and information can come out of that unknown area and go into any of the windows. For example, if something unexpected happened and there is a piece of information that became known to you and you do not want to disclose it, you put it under your mask. If there is an information that people see but you don't realize, it goes into the blind spot until people decide to provide you with feedback regarding that information. And if this information in the unknown area, in the question mark, becomes known to you and others at the same time, it goes right into the open area, into the fully open window. Now let's try to work on our blind area. And as I said, working with the blind area is done through feedback. What is feedback? How is it defined? Feedback is defined as helpful information or criticism given to someone to say what can be done to improve as performance, as a product, as something that this person providing feedback finds important for you. Again, only through feedback we can minimize our blind spot, and we really want to develop this ability to understand feedback, to accept feedback, and also to provide feedback. Now let's really understand what are the criteria. How do we make sure that the feedback is useful? And the first criterion for good feedback is that you want to be providing feedback that belongs, as you assume, to this other person's blind area. In other words, you want to give them something new, a new piece of information. Because if we talk about the traits and the qualities that are in the open area, they are already known by that person, so your feedback is not going to be useful. But if you assume that this is something new and provide feedback to that person, immediately that person will find feedback useful. So that's criteria number one. Criterion number two, you do not want your feedback to be personal. In other words, you want to be providing feedback not to the person's personal traits or his persona or his personality. You want to be providing feedback regarding the action that this person has done. So, an example of a good feedback would be, you were late today. And an example of a bad one would be, you are a non-punctual person. So you do not want to be providing feedback that touches that person's personality and characterizes them or labels them, not their action. The third criterion for good feedback is your feedback has to be backed by data or evidence or justified, in other words. So that feedback that you want to provide, you want it to be timely and specific. You want to bring an example regarding what you're saying, what feedback you're providing. There are two: formatted. You want to be providing your feedback in a way that it's understandable, that uses the format that is clear, that is understandable, that is digestible to the person. Finally, you want to make sure that when you are providing your feedback to this other person, that other person who will receive it is open to receiving that feedback. How do you know if the person is open? You can just ask. Or you can interpret their body language, their eye contact, their facial expressions, their words also. You can read that person to understand if they are really open, but you can also ask, right? And you also have to be open to receiving a reverse feedback from that person. Let's talk about the third interpersonal skill out of 7, which is conflict management. Conflict management is defined as a process by which disputes are resolved where negative results are minimized and positive results are being prioritized. It becomes the aim of our conflict management to be effective and really to solve and not to elevate the conflict. The conflicts can be different. So the conflict situations can be caused by many different things, such as, the feelings, non-professional attitude, personal conflict can be done as well. So no matter what type, what the reason, and who are the parties of that, there are 5 main actions or strategies that you want to be applying to your conflict. The first one is avoid the conflict. Avoiding the conflict or reducing the conflict by ignoring it or removing the conflicted parties or evading it in some manner is what we call avoiding the conflict. The second strategy that you want to be using is accommodating. And accommodating the other side of the conflict means putting their interests over yours. The third strategy that you can use in conflict management is compromising. Compromising is finding the middle ground where both parties concede some aspects of their desires so that the solution can be agreed upon. The fourth strategy is called competing. And competing is not giving in to other person's viewpoints or wants. And finally, the fifth one, the most productive C, is collaborating. Collaborating with the counterpart is when each party's needs and wants are considered and a win-win solution is found so that everyone leaves satisfied. Let's talk about empathy. Empathy is a part of emotional intelligence, and we already talked about one other component of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness. But let me first define what empathy is. Empathy is one of the key components of emotional intelligence. It involves understanding how others feel and being compassionate towards them. It also involves understanding how one's emotions can impact others, and it is adjusting own emotions accordingly. Let me talk to you guys about the emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is defined by Daniel Goleman, and it has 5 components. The first one is self-awareness. Then it's self-regulation, it's empathy that we're discussing now, self-motivation, and social skills. A person, if he or she wants to be emotionally intelligent, they want to understand their own emotions. That is self-awareness. Not only do they want to understand their emotions, but also they want to regulate those emotions. They want to be empathetic, so they want to understand how those emotions are affecting the other people's emotions. Finally, they want to keep that loop going and turning all the time, with self-motivation. So you want to keep yourself motivated to continue being self-aware, self-regulating, and empathetic. And finally, to make it all work, you really want to have social skills. You want to develop the social skills to communicate this, to receive feedback, to receive information, and to express your empathy and other pieces, self-regulation, self-awareness, or other items in the emotional intelligence. For that, you need social skills. What are the indicators of people with low emotional intelligence? You probably will see people who are argumentative, who are not listening, those who are blaming others, those who have emotional outbursts. So all of those people really are people with low level of emotional intelligence. And if you are one of those people, you really want to work on your emotional intelligence. So think of the habits that you have that would be a self-awareness component of emotional intelligence, and think of a strategy to regulate it, and that will be the self-regulation component of emotional intelligence. Now let's quickly talk about motivation. Motivation is defined as something that describes why a person does something or wants to do something. Motivation has two sources. The sources of motivation can be extrinsic or external, that come from outside, that are externally motivating you, or motivation can come from within. It is something that drives us internally to want to do something. Motivation is usually described by a number of theories of needs and process theories. I think something very easy and understandable that describes motivation is Maslow's theory of needs. Maslow's pyramid consists of needs that are advancing from basic to more higher needs, and explain why people are doing what they're doing and how to affect the people's actions by motivating them. According to Maslow, you have to satisfy the unsatisfied need to motivate the person. What is the Maslow's pyramid of needs? It starts with the very basic physiological needs. Those needs are the needs for food, water, clothing, warmth, and so on. The next level in the pyramid of needs is the need for safety. It is the shelter need. It is the need for security, order, law, etc. The third level of needs is called the social needs, and we are social animals. We all want to be accepted. We want to be a part of a certain society. The fourth one is called the need for esteem, and it is the desire for reputation, for respect. Not only do we want to be a part of a society, but we want to be a significant part of that society. And the final level of needs is called the need for self-actualization. And those are the needs that a person might have that are connected with self-fulfillment, with seeking personal growth. So according to Maslow, we need to satisfy the needs that are less satisfied, that are least satisfied. That would probably explain how you motivate people. Motivational factors can be financial and non-financial, and turns out to be that financial factors are the most frequently used ones. Why? Because most of the employers do not really know what are the intrinsic motivators, what are the non-financial motivating factors for employees. For that, you need interpersonal skills. You need, to understand your employee, you need to be empathetic about them, and you need interaction, you need communication skills to do that. So try, when you're motivating people, try to really think first of the non-financial motivators and then only financial ones. Let's talk about active listening, which is another very important interpersonal skill. Active listening is when you are listening not to respond, but really listen to obtain information, to understand. You listen for enjoyment, you can actively listen to that too, or you listen to learn. How do people know that we are listening to them active? We can show that to them with using 3 levels of active listening. The first one would be the nonverbal one. It means that with our body language, with nodding, with our smile, with our eye contact, with the open posture that we have, we can show them that we are in contact with them, that we are listening to them. The second level is called semi-verbal, and those are the sounds that we make. It can be and still maintaining the positive body language. You also semi-verbally let them know that there is contact between us. And the third level of active listening is called the verbal. It's when you speak, you talk back, you clarify, you ask, or you paraphrase. And in that way, that there is an active listening, there is a healthy interaction going on. Finally, let's talk about a very key interpersonal skill that really brings together all those skills. That's teamwork. What is teamwork? First, let's understand what the teams are. Team is not just a group of people. Team is a group of people that is working to a common goal, to achieve a common goal. That work is called teamwork. What are the benefits of teamwork? It has more energy. It can motivate, other team members. They motivate each other. It forces you to work and obtain results. It has shared responsibility for the outcome. It can be faster than working alone. Teamwork allows you to meet people and interact with others. It makes problem solving easier. More opinions, ideas, perspectives, and diversity of strength is being invested in the teamwork, and thus the result of it is becoming more efficient. It has increased creativity if you work in a team. It allows for better insights and understanding of self and the assignment if you work in a team. And finally, teamwork is more fun than working alone. Exercise all these interpersonal skills, and I hope that your group work or any task that you do will be much more efficient. Good luck developing your interpersonal skills.